according to my calculations, I have 35 liters of water, 20 kilograms of carbon, 250 grams of salt, and all sorts of elements of varying amounts all together to create the perfect monster. And now for a bolt of electricity. It's alive!
Welcome to Enchanted Lore. Grab your silver sword and your steel one as well, as it is time to face some monsters. In today's video, we're going to go and share with you some of the strategies and processes that we have in creating your own custom monsters. Well, let's begin. So the first step in designing your monster is to flesh out the concept. And you must answer these series of questions. One of them is, what role does the monster serve? Is this a boss type of monster where, this is the grand finale of a dungeon or something that you've been building up throughout the whole campaign, and so therefore it needs to be quite strong and powerful? Or is this a simple monster where it is just a servant or just a minion, like a little goblin of sorts? Or is this something that should be nearly indestructible, like an avatar of the gods? Or, maybe it's some mystical creature of the wild. So beginning with these, asking this question will help begin to lay on how and what you should design for your monster. For this, you can also gain inspiration from the stories and the movies we've seen. Maybe you grab and design a mythological creature, like your own version of what a unicorn should be. Or you go and rely on folklore and grab and design the chupacabra. Or maybe, you go and you get the alien from the Alien franchise, and you make your own version of that to where the adventurers have to deal with something scary and terrifying as that. So you can get these inspirations from books and stories in real life. And then with that, you go and you determine what is kind of the creature's type. Is this kind of a demonic, a fiend, an outsider? Does it have fae? Is it a dragon type or undead? As these are different templates that you would then apply to it. Okay, so for the next step of designing your monster, you're going to have to determine its base stats. And this is anything from the CR to the HP to AC and everything else in between. Well, you can follow some of the rules in designing the monsters by D&D and Pathfinder, and make sure that you have a doctorate degree in calculus and do all these mathematical equations to figure out and design the perfect monster at the perfect CR. Or you can just go and do what I do, and that's cheat, where you find a monster that is about the same strength and design as to what you're looking for, and then you modify it. So we begin by we'll talk about the CRs, which is the challenge rating of the monster. And this is determined by their calculations for the different systems, how hard it should be to fight this monster with a party of 4, and what should be their equivalent level to defeat it, right? So certain systems, they are more finely tuned in their math to where when they tell you this specific challenge rating, that's what it means. So if you go above that, you're going to give your players a very difficult encounter versus other systems where it's more loose and flexible. So keep that in mind when designing these monsters, right, with the challenge rating. So that's the other thing. So now that you've picked and fleshed out your concept for the monster, going back with the challenge rating, if it is a simple, weak monster, then it should be of a lower challenge rating than of the party. And if it is of a boss or more difficult one in nature, then it should be of equal to the party's group, their challenge rating, or a little bit higher, depending if you have anybody in your group that is kind of a power gamer that kind of skews the curve a bit, right? So these are things, like I said, you should build that as your base template. You find the monster that has the power level, that has kind of similar design, and then you start to modify it. You modify the HP, the armor, and all these different things, and keep track of the things that you want to modify that is pertinent to your monster and to your session. For example, if you have a party that really doesn't do a lot of saves or a lot of attribute changes and stuff, then you really don't need to modify and keep track of that as much because it's not important. Just have basic saves and move on. We're all about streamlining and having a simple process for you to introduce fun monsters to your campaign. The other thing is, when designing it, is now we get to the fun part, and that is giving them special abilities, these flavored things that could create unique combat encounters. This one GM, he created this monster, which was this brood mother, and she had this really thick hide, and she was monstrous in size. And because of that, when my character went and others tried to fight it, we could not penetrate her hide. She was too strong for us. And because of that, the GM gave us hints that the only way we would really be able to defeat this in a timely manner is using our environment. And that is where we had to have the columns of the cave be destroyed to where it would all fall down and crush her. Another example is where, for my players, I gave them an opportunity to fight the embodiment of wrath. And to counteract that, they can go and they can hit them as hard as they want, but they were noticing that they just weren't chipping away as fast as they should be, and that the way to properly defeat him quickly was to where you had to be calm. You could not be angry. You had to be focused and use almost non-lethal strikes. And when you did, you were able to pass all his resistances and stuff. And so creating these fun special abilities, allows you to have flavor, to tweak and design the monster the way you want. But you gotta also keep in mind that when you do some of these special things, if it's tends to be more on the difficult side, you need to somehow add clues and give the players a way to understand on how to deal with it. Step 3 in designing your monster, and that is determining its rewards and loot. Whether you are a Geralt of Riviera or you're the adventurer of your own campaign, everybody loves to get some loot and rewards for their hard-earned work. Now, when designing the monsters and picking the loot, you can likewise lean upon the monster manuals or the bestiaries of whatever system to help you, and that will give you some recommendations of what are some common loot that you can find with them. You can build upon this, or you can design your own. Now, keep in mind that it's not advisable to go through the video game route of where if someone says, hey, please go kill these 10 boars, that you find a magical helmet among them. It just doesn't make sense. So keep that in mind. What is kind of the theme? What is the setting? What is going on here? For example, if I give the quest of where you need to go and defeat these dire wolves, and for the shepherd, well, you may not find anything particular with the dire wolves, but maybe the shepherd gives you the reward for doing so. Or maybe there is a reward among the dire wolves for defeating them back back at the den. Maybe they dragged and killed another adventurer, and that is why you find certain things and stuff. So make the rewards make sense. Or going back to our example of the avatar of the gods, all right? You go into their temple and you go and face them. It makes sense that there would be these treasuries and this loot and stuff. So keep that all in mind. Pick the flavors you want. Feel what, be creative with it. Understand what is going to be enjoyable for your players. So, and give it a try. So we would love to hear about some of the monsters that you've created or are planning to create. So if you don't mind, share them with us down in the comments below. Well, that's it for today, and thank you for watching.